Hello everybody, Lawrence Fleming here again. Well, by the time you see this will be day 2 of the Feast of Tabernacles. There's supposed to be 8 days of this essentially. Living in tents. Well, that describes my lifestyle perfectly. Although I'm sure I have a better tent than they did. Well, I don't know. They had fancy fabric and all kinds of stuff to build their temporary shelters with. It had to be pretty simple. I can set up my tent, my basic tent, in about 30 minutes. And it takes me another 30 minutes to get all my junk inside, because I got to carry it from my car. But they had to basically, Moses would tell them, God's told me we have to move. And then they had to get off of the site they were on and move to the next one that only he knew, because God was telling them. Living a life like that, not sure where you're going to live next. Well, I'm used to it because I trust God. Moses was used to it. But I think at the end of the 40 years, he was pretty frustrated with the people of Israel. That's why when they finally got to see the promised land, he didn't get to go. As good a servant as he was, he at the last minute broke down. God told him to speak to the rock to bring forth water because they were needing water. The last time he did it, he struck the rock. Well, I guess in his frustration in dealing with the people, he hit the rock again instead of following God's orders to speak to it. And that kept him from getting into the promised land. That would have been a sad day. All the work that he did. He got to see the promised land. He didn't get to set foot on it. He had to pass this down over the top. The wind is picking up. You can see This is a north wind. North winds mean cold. I think I said in my last video that they've got snow in the Great Lakes above them. Give it another month, it'll be down here. I frankly don't think we're going to be here in another month, but we've all been trying to guess, trying to figure out when's he going to do this. And they're all guesses, nobody knows. And it's not because of the verse that says nobody knows the day or the hour. That's the second coming. That's not the rapture. There's nothing on the rapture. I'm going to walk out here in the sun for a little bit, get to the other side. I'm walking across the dam. These lakes are man-made. I don't know how much of it would have been here because it's a pretty good size. I don't know if you can see down there or not. It's a pretty good sized lake on the other side. And I can see where the water goes in down there. I quit fishing, so I don't know if there's fish in here. But I see 3 people fishing, so there must be or they wouldn't be here. Some lady on the other side fishing. I said, my last video I was watching, and she had white Pontiac G8 like I do. Hers is better taken care of. It's like it's been in a garage. Mine, no, it's not in good shape. It needs some TLC and money, and I can give it to TLC, but I don't have the money. And it's sort of like, why should I clean it up when all I do is use it for camping? I give it a bath once in a while, but my back seat's got dirt on it because I keep putting my cooler back there, and it has mud on the wheels, dirt on the wheels when I put it in. Not much I can do about it. I don't have a pick-em-up truck. Not sure that I would want one anyway, because I get extremely good gas mileage. 30 plus on the highway. I won't get that with a pick-em-up truck. Okay, this is my second time around the lake. I did one yesterday. I'm back again today. So I'm at the end. There's the, is that it there? Well, there's the weir. See some ducks out on the lake. Ducks always remind me of my dad, because he was an avid hunter. He would run duck clubs in the off season from his baseball. So I've seen lots of ducks. Okay, so Tabernacle. So they had to make quick meals. You know, you can't put a stew on or a bowl of chili and let it cook for 4 hours or 6 hours. You got to make quick meals. They didn't have prepackaged food back then, so you couldn't open up a granola bar. But they could dry food. They knew how to dry meat, things like that, so they could have stuff. They could make biscuits. Throughout history, they've always had some form of a biscuit. In the Civil War, they had what they called hardtack, which is just flour and water, and bake it until it's hard as a brick. You have to be careful not to break your teeth, but it would keep forever. Most of the time they didn't have a lot of meat back then, so unless they killed it. But when they had to get up and move, it was a major event. We're not talking about, you know, a family or two. They were estimating that with wives and children, there's, you know, 1 million or so left Egypt. And they would have been wandering around for 40 years. They had to basically have the whole generation that refused to go into the promised land. They had to wait for them to die off. Another sad event. The thing is, they didn't have technology like we do now. They didn't have, the Bible. There were scrolls, things like that, parchments. They were carried by the priests or by those in charge. The average individual couldn't read, so why give them something to read? Now pretty much everyone in the world can read. There's always a few that can't, but most people can. We've got internet now. I can say something and have it be around the world. I've got subscribers on this channel from all around the world. I see them all the time talking. They may mention where they're from. There was no hope of ever doing that until fairly recent. And with Starlink coming up where they can reach everybody, the price is too high right now, but it's new. More people get it, the price will come down. That's the only way that they can essentially watch the two witnesses It says the whole world watches them die. That's a pretty big deal. Look up Feast of Tabernacles, or Bus, as it's called, or Sukkot. Sukkot. Depends on your accent, I guess. And read what they did. Read the ceremonies that they would do. Again, these are Jewish events. They're history. They don't apply to us. But we can see how people used to live. History is always good. It's like they say, you either learn from history or you're doomed to repeat it. So we've got a full history of the Jewish people. For the most part, things you do not want to repeat. Imagine how the Jews felt, or the Israelites, I guess, at the time, when they were in Egypt. When they first went there, it was on good terms. They basically were saved from famine, starvation, and they were living pretty good. But eventually, generations later, they became slaves. So they weren't in good shape. When it was time to leave, some of them didn't even want to go because they were comfortable in their downtrodden position. But imagine how they felt when they were watching the events of the plagues. These things were happening all around them. Some of the things that we're going to see again from our two witnesses. They were watching all these things happen all around them, including killing of the firstborn. So they had to do the blood. I have to assume that maybe some people didn't do it, some of the Israelites didn't do it, but most of them probably did, because they've been watching all this other stuff, and Moses was telling them what was happening. Well, we're told what's happening now too. So don't give up. Keep watching. And look up some of the menu items that they would have eaten. It might be fun if you've got kids to make some of those things up and get them to eat on the go meals that they would make. All right, I'm going to do a study after this, so watch for that. I keep wondering when my last video will be. And I told you already that God told me, don't stop, never stop. He says, I don't care if you're filming when you're on the way up. I don't know how the thing would get posted, but that tells me how much I've got to keep doing this. I don't dislike it. I just worry about whether people are going to be able to see it after I'm gone. Eventually, they're going to take all these sites down. Try anyway. Since I'm not getting any hits on my page, because I try to watch what I say, mine might be a last one, but they may just do them all at once. And the internet may be gone too. If we end up with nuclear wars around the world, the internet's not going to stay up. Okay, let's get into the study till we meet in the clouds. Okay, everybody, let's go ahead and get started on our Bible study. There's a lot of people in this community park because it's not too far from town. So let's see if I can get this in without being interrupted. I will be nice, but I may have to stop teaching if they want to come over and ask how I'm doing. We've had that happen before. Okay, this weekend is the Feast of Tabernacles. So let's take a look at the significance of that. This is the third required feast. You've got Passover, Pentecost, and Tabernacles. Now the people should be ready for this. We've just done the trumpets to celebrate the new year. We've also done the Day of Atonement, Yom Kippur, so they should be forgiven, prepared, holy. And now this is just kind of a year-end feast to thank God for taking care of them all these years. The reference to tabernacles or booths are to hearken back to the days when they were led through the wilderness. They couldn't plant their roots anyplace. That was not where they were supposed to be. The wilderness was a punishment that they had to go through because they wouldn't trust God. So for tabernacles, it's just biding your time and trusting God. The wind is gusting fairly good here, so hopefully I can keep my place and not lose all my paperwork. I'm afraid if I lose a piece of paper, it's gone if this wind kicks up. Another sign of the season. All right, turn with me to the book of John, chapter 1, verse 1. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. He was in the beginning with God. All things were made through him, and without him nothing was made that was made. In him was life, and the life was the light of men. And the light shines in darkness, and the darkness did not comprehend it. There was a man sent from God whose name was John, who I am trying to imitate. This man came for a witness to bear witness to the light, that all through him might believe. He was not the light, but was sent to bear witness of the light. That was the true light, which gives light to every man coming into the world. He was in the world, and the world was made through him, and the world did not know him. He came to his own, and his own did not receive him. But as many receive him, to him he gave the right to become children of God, and to those who believe in his name, who were born not of blood, nor of flesh, nor of the will of man, but of God. And here's the key part here. I hope you can see me. I'm looking at a very dark image on this screen because the sun just came out. It needs shade. I may move in a little bit, but let's go on. This is the main part. And the Word became flesh and dwelt among us. And the proper word for dwelt there would have been tabernacled. Tabernacled among us, and we beheld his glory, the glory of the only begotten of the Father, full of grace and truth. John bore witness of him and cried out, saying, This is he of whom I said, He who comes after me is preferred before me, and he was before me. Okay, so that's basically introducing us to Jesus has been around forever, and he wants to come and tabernacle with us, to dwell with us down here on earth. Let's see how we got to this point. You're going to turn with me now to Exodus 25. Now the people had just come out of Egypt. I need a place with more shade because I can't see me. If I can't see me, I don't know if you can. So walk with me while I grab another table. See, I'm already, you can see me on the screen. There's about 5 or 6 big groups of people here. They have a number of pavilions, play areas, plus the campsites. And from the judge of last night, the campsites are here for one reason, for people to party. That seems to be the difference between a state park and a county park. That's better. I can see myself. Okay, so I'm going to start in Exodus 25. The Lord spoke to Moses, saying, "Speak to the children of Israel, that they may bring me an offering. From everyone who gives it willingly with his heart, you shall take my offering. And this is the offering which you shall take from them: gold, silver, and bronze, blue, purple, and scarlet thread, fine linen, and goat's hair, ram skins dyed red, badger skins, acacia wood, oil for the light, spices for the anointing oil, and for the sweet incense, onyx stones and stones to be set in the ephod, the breastplate that the priests wore, and let them make me a sanctuary, that I may dwell among them, tabernacle among them, according to all that I show you, that is, the pattern of the tabernacle and the pattern of all of its furnishings. Just show you shall make it." And this is where he's told to, make the ark. Now you say, well, where are they getting all this stuff? Weren't they poor slaves? Well, they were, until they left. And Moses said, go in and gather all their precious jewels and stuff that they've got so we can take them with us. Now, they got tired of waiting and built the golden calf out of some of it. But I'm sure they melted that gold back down into portable gold that they could make other things from. So all the stuff that's going to go into this portable tabernacle, it's an ice cream truck. God, I haven't seen one of those in years. Where is he? Coming out from behind the building. Where is he? There he goes. There's a lot of kids in here who want ice cream. I want ice cream, but I'm lactose intolerant, so I have to have the juiced kind. Okay, so if you wanted to see what it takes to make the ark, start in 25:10 and it will tell you about that. We're going to switch over now to there's a table of showbread in 23. You shall make me a table out of acacia wood. 2 cubits shall be its length, a cubit its width, and a cubit and a half its height. And you shall overlay it with pure gold. So that's how they started using some of the gold that was used in the calf. And you shall overlay it with pure gold and make a molding of gold around it. And you shall make it a frame and a handbreadth all around it. And you shall make a gold molding for the frame all around it. And you shall make it with 4 gold rings, and put the rings on the 4 corners and the 4 legs. And the rings shall be close to the frame as holders for the poles to bear the table. And you shall make the poles of acacia wood, and overlay them with gold, that the table may be carried with them. You shall make its dishes, its pans, its pitchers, and its bowls for pouring, and you shall make them of pure gold. Can you imagine all this? This is why when the Ark of Triumph, where after they got through raiding the temple in 70 AD, they built a pictogram of all the spoils they took back. Notice there's no picture of the ark, but there's the menorah and other things up there. Now the golden lampstand, and you shall make me a lampstand of pure gold. Again, lots of pure gold. And the lamp shall be hammered work, its shaft, its branches, its bowls. It's supposed to be almond tree. The 7 branches are supposed to be that of a tree. There's some branches on the other side. 3 bowls. It should be made like an almond blossom on one branch with its ornamental knob and a flower. So they got to make that for the temple. So you got a table of showbread, a lamp. You've got the ark. I don't see the table of incense. And they're going to have an altar for the burnt offering. So anyhow, the tabernacle. So moreover, you shall make the tabernacle with 10 curtains of fine woven linen and blue and purple and scarlet thread. With artistic designs of cherubim you shall weave them. The length of each curtain shall be 28 cubits. Cubit is the forearm. Every one of the curtains shall have 5 the same measurements. 5 curtains shall be coupled to one another, and then the other 5 curtains shall be coupled to one another, and you shall make loops of blue yarn on the edge of the curtain. So it's telling them how to build this tabernacle. They had to have this because they had to be portable. It's like what I'm doing. I have to be portable in what I'm doing. Now, I don't know how often they moved. In a county park like I'm in, I can only stay here 5 days. I can stay two weeks in a state park. So I have to move a lot. So I have a lot of portable things to take with me. And that's part of what I've been doing all my time in Georgia, is to figure out what's the minimum I can get by with. Now, I can camp in the summer and I can camp in the winter. And to some degree, there's things that I need that are different. I need a heater in the winter and an air conditioner in the summer. The only thing that I don't know is if I can carry everything if I try to take off out west. While I'm here, I keep what I don't need in a storage unit. But it would be nice to get rid of that expense and the need to go back and forth if I could just carry everything. So I've got to go stay at my son's place and watch his cats while he's away and his roommate's away, starting on the 15th. So I'm going to start going through my storage unit and see what I can get rid of, what I can. I've got a lot of stuff. I've got duplicates. I've got camping gear beyond what I need because I'm an ex-scoutmaster, so I used to carry everything we needed. Well, most of what I carried was for primitive camping. And I don't like primitive camping. I like having electricity because then I can plug everything in, like my coffee maker and all that. I have solar power, so I can live a little bit primitive, but I'm not carrying a 1,000-pound battery set and multiple solar panels to run them. Some of the RVs have that, but I don't. I can run my phone, which is my primary device for filming and uploading. I can even run my internet for a little while on this battery. I can't run it all day. So if I do go to primitive camping sites, I won't be able to talk to you during the day as much as I'd like to because I don't have the ability for that. And even if I had the money to go buy the equipment, I'd have to go buy an RV to put it in because I don't have room. I'm not ready to do that. I don't think we have that much time. I've been telling you about what's happening around the world. That's our seasonal guide to let us know where things are. So, this is a time for learning about God. They built their tabernacles because they wanted to take them back to the time that they lived in tabernacles. They had to fully trust in God. They didn't have a permanent city, permanent country, and they've really spent much of their lives scattered abroad. So right now they're back in Israel. That's the biggest sign of the season we've got right now. So we may blow through these holidays and nothing happen. There's nothing tying the rapture to any specific day. It could happen on a Jewish holiday, but it could just as easily happen on Thanksgiving or Christmas or Groundhog Day. It's not up to God, it's up to Satan and when he wants to start things. Putin's getting old. He doesn't like being pushed around. He's ex-KGB. In fact, he was the leader of the KGB. And he's being pushed around right now, and he doesn't like it. Now, he doesn't want to annihilate Russia by starting World War III and everybody launching rockets into the air and wiping out the entire Earth. He doesn't want to do that. So he probably will use a tactical nuke, just a small one, just to take out some city armaments or things like that. The people he's fighting with are fighting back more than he thought they would. But he breaks the logjam on nuclear-powered weapons. Who else is going to jump in? Does Iran have one yet? I would say no, because they want to annihilate Israel, and if they had one, they'd launch it immediately. Like, the Ayatollahs probably walk into the lab once a week. You got one ready for me yet? Nope. Okay, keep working. Because they believe that if they start World War III, God will help them to win it. Of course, it's all lies from Satan, but they fully believe it. They believe it as much as we should believe God protecting us. Okay. Tomorrow I will be going to church. I don't know if I'm going to fit in enough to like this church. You never know. People that go to church are unique. Everybody's unique. You got to hope you fit in. Every once in a while, not very often, but every once in a while I find one where I don't fit in. I remember years ago going to a church. The minute we walked in until we got up and walked out, all they talked about was money and how much we needed to help them raise money for this and for that and for everything else they were doing. They preached very little God, but they preached a lot of money. We didn't even stay through the whole thing. We got up and walked out. So you can find them. They're out there. Don't stay long. Wipe the dust from your feet. But find one that you can go to. Everybody should be going to a church. I'm camping to show you that you can live this way if you need to. I also go to church on Sunday to show that there's no excuse. Now, if you're physically handicapped and you can't go at all, I understand that. But if you can wheel yourself in and out of your building, churches are handicap accessible. And if they're not, there's lots of strong men that can lift you around. Okay? No excuses. See you in church. God bless. Well, my car had more leaves on it earlier, but they were on top and they've blown away. These are the ones that got caught in the wipers and stuff. See, there's leaves are all changing. All but the pine trees. The pine trees would be all that's left here in about a month or so. Charlie Brown tree.